At once. We have lost a year to no purpose, cried Dante. Do you consider the last 12 months to have been wasted? Asked the abbé. Forgive me, cried Edmund, blushing deeply. Tut tut, answered the abbé. A man is but a man after all, and you are about the best specimen of the genus I have ever known. Come, let me show you my plan. The abbé then showed Dante the sketch he had made for their escape. It consisted of a plan of his own cell and that of Dante's, with the passage which united them. In this passage, he proposed to drive a level as they do in mines. This level would bring the two prisoners immediately beneath the gallery where the sentry kept watch. Once there, a large excavation would be made, and one of the flagstones with which the gallery was paved be so completely loosened that at the desired moment it would give way beneath the feet of the soldier, who, stunned by this fall, would immediately be bound and gagged by Dante before he had the power to offer any resistance. The prisoners were then to make their way through one of the gallery windows, and to let themselves down from the outer walls by means of the abbé's ladder of cords. Dante's eyes sparkled with joy, and he rubbed his hands with the delight at the idea of a plan so simple, yet apparently so certain to succeed. That very day the miners began their labors, with a vigor and alacrity proportionate to their long rest from fatigue and their hopes of ultimate success. Nothing interrupted the progress of the work, except the necessity that each was under of returning to his cell in anticipation of the turnkey's visits. They had learned to distinguish the almost imperceptible sound of his footsteps as he descended toward their dungeons, and, happily, never failed of being prepared for his coming. The fresh earth excavated during their present work, and which would have entirely blocked up the old passage, was thrown, by degrees and with the utmost precaution, out of the window in either Faria's or Dante's cell, the rubbish being first pulverized so finely that the night wind carried it far away without permitting the smallest trace to remain. And now we're a year, 12 months. Yesterday it was 9, the day before it was 6. Now we are a full 12 months since they first met. Dante's transformation, I mean, we don't really get too much of an indication of it here, but is, I guess, maybe yet to be discovered. Dumas providing maybe a little bit of suspense in that regard. Who is Dante now? How does he think? We don't really know yet. That's kind of cool. But whoever he is, he hasn't lost the kind of giddy schoolboy nature of delighting at the plan of Faria's. As he learns of it, I see him kind of batting his hands and, the way that I do when I'm in an ice cream store. But even still, if we don't know all of Dante yet, there is something here, an indication, a subtle hint at his mindset. And that's the very start of this passage, when at the end of yesterday's passage, he asks, when do they start? And here the abbé is saying at once, and Dante saying, we've lost a year to no purpose, I think shows a restlessness on Dante's part. He is impatient. He is chomping at the bit to get on with it already. And not just the escape. I mean, yes, the escape, but I'm wondering if this indicates he has other plans. He now has his sights set far beyond just the walls of the dungeon and the walls of the Chateau d'If. He's thinking, I got to get on with whatever it is that's going through his mind, which we know involves Danglars, Fernand, maybe Caderousse, and Villefort. So he's not saying we've lost a year that we could have been escaping. He's saying I've already lost so much time in my life away from being made captain of the Pharaon, away from being Mercedes' husband, away from understanding the fate of my father. I can't waste one more year. What are we doing here? And the abbé just recognizes, oh, you're just a human being, and it compliments him, saying, but you're still the finest specimen that I've seen. Is that true? Well, I guess I can't speak for Faria if that's what he is seeing or believes. I do feel like in that 12 months of his transformation, maybe we aren't privy to some of the things that the Faria has seen in Dante. So hard to say. And speaking of that, we had talked so much about dramatic irony in that for the first portion of this book, it's been us knowing all of these things happening to Dante without Dante knowing how or why they're happening. And now I feel like Dumas is pivoting, and it's no longer dramatic irony. It's a different kind of suspense where we don't know what is to come. And I'm wondering if we should be reading into certain things like the plan was so simple and certain to succeed as false hopes. Is that him kind of nodding his head at, yeah, it's not going to be so simple. It's not certain to succeed. Should we be reading into that or taking it at face value? I don't know. This is kind of like this far into the book, an interesting stylistic choice that Dumas is making to change from dramatic irony to this other thing in order to keep it fresh. I think if you're telling a book with this scope, you need to not only transform your characters, not only introduce adventure and subplots and intrigue, but like on a mechanical level, you need to do different things with your writing in order to keep readers invested and interested and entertained. This is kind of an interesting way of doing that. I can't say that I can point to another story that has done it like this. Granted, I haven't read that many epic scope books the way that this one is, but it's interesting nonetheless. What do you think? Hit me up on Discord. Let's have some discussions about this stuff. We have a few things going already there, but I would love your thoughts on the Discord. It's completely free to join. The link is in the show notes for this episode. So just click it, join, and jump in the conversation, because I'd love your thoughts on this. This is my first time reading it. It's actually my first time reading Dumas, as I've said before, except for the Corsican Brothers, which is so short that I hardly count it. But regardless, I'm curious what you think. Let me know. Otherwise, I'll see the rest of you here tomorrow with more of Chapter 17. Until then, okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.